People who interrupt constantly aren't just annoying, they're a puzzle. And solving puzzles is what I've spent my life doing. Stakeouts, interrogations, undercover dealings, every conversation is a clue. Every interruption, a red flag. In my world, people who interrupt always have something deeper they're desperate to keep hidden. I learned this lesson early on, fresh out of the academy, eager to make a difference. My first real interrogation involved a petty criminal named Eddie. Eddie was like a broken radio, constantly cutting in, not letting anyone finish a thought. At first, I thought he was playing games, just another cocky thug. But as I pushed him harder, something unexpected happened. He broke, not because of pressure, but because silence terrified him. Eddie's interruptions masked an emptiness he felt inside, a void filled with insecurity, fear of rejection, and the crushing weight of feeling invisible. That night taught me something valuable. Interrupters aren't trying to dominate the conversation. They're running from silence, terrified of the truths lurking there. Years later, when I was a detective, I had a partner named Frank. Frank was sharp, intuitive, but he couldn't help but interrupt everyone around him, me, suspects, witnesses. Meetings with him were exhausting. Yet, it wasn't arrogance driving him. One evening, after a particularly rough case, Frank confided in me. He admitted he'd grown up unheard, dismissed by parents who never seemed to notice him. Interrupting became his armor, his desperate way to ensure he wouldn't disappear into the background ever again. Then there's Natalie, a witness I interviewed during one of my darkest cases, a young woman haunted by memories too painful to share. Her interruptions came in rapid bursts, preventing silence from ever settling. Initially, I mistook her for evasive or confused, until I realized the truth. Silence forced Natalie to confront memories she'd desperately buried, traumatic events she'd hoped never to revisit. Her interruptions weren't deflections, they were desperate pleas to escape the silence that held her pain. Not every interrupter masks insecurity or trauma. Some wear interruptions like crowns, wielding them as weapons. Take Gabriel Costa, a powerful man, ruthless businessman, and suspect in a high-profile corruption investigation. Costa never allowed others to finish sentences, constantly asserting dominance. His interruptions screamed authority, entitlement. Yet behind the scenes, as I dug deeper, I discovered Costa was haunted by a fear far more human, the fear of losing control, of being powerless. His interruptions weren't confidence, they were desperate attempts to maintain the illusion of power. I also remember clearly a rookie cop named Daniels. He was intelligent, insightful, but conversations with him felt like verbal duels. Daniels interrupted frequently, impatiently finishing others' sentences. Everyone thought him rude, arrogant, impossible to work with. It wasn't until he confided in me one late shift that I saw the truth. Daniels struggled silently with a racing mind, likely an undiagnosed condition, thoughts running so fast he genuinely couldn't slow down. His interruptions weren't arrogance, they were cries for understanding, his way of coping with a chaotic internal world. Yet interruption comes at a heavy price. It sabotages trust, erodes relationships, isolates. Frank lost partners who couldn't handle being talked over. Eddie pushed away people who might have helped him, locked in a cycle of insecurity and loneliness. Costa drove away allies and friends, eventually becoming isolated in his ivory tower. Interruptions, meant as protection, ultimately become the chains that trap the interrupter in solitude. I know because I've been there myself. There was a time, after I exposed corruption in my own department, that silence terrified me too. I feared it would expose my own guilt, mistakes, regrets, especially about my sister's disappearance, a truth I still haven't fully faced. Interruptions became my reflex, my shield against vulnerability. It wasn't until I found myself alone, isolated, that I understood silence wasn't my enemy. It was the only place where clarity and truth could finally emerge. If you're someone who interrupts compulsively, ask yourself honestly, what are you hiding from? Is it the silence that scares you, or the truths lurking within it? Facing these truths isn't easy, believe me. It's like staring into a mirror that reflects back everything you've tried desperately to avoid. Listening isn't passive, it's active bravery. It forces you to confront realities you've avoided, but it also unlocks genuine connection, trust, understanding. On these shadowed streets, amid whispered secrets and neon glow, silence has been my greatest tool. It reveals the hidden layers people desperately mask with interruptions. If you're constantly interrupted by someone, know this: they're not dismissing you. They're terrified you'll discover their hidden fears, vulnerabilities, or insecurities. Understanding doesn't excuse their behavior, but it gives you leverage and insight to bridge divides rather than deepen them. Interrupters are running, desperate to stay ahead of truths they can't yet face. But truth, I've learned the hard way, always catches up. So here's my advice, born from countless nights alone, chasing shadows, confronting silence, embrace it. The silence, the patience, the uncomfortable truths, they hold the keys to real power, real understanding. After all, in every interrogation I've ever conducted, the most critical moments weren't when suspects talked. It was when they finally fell silent. That's when truths were revealed. Maybe it's time we stop fearing silence. Maybe it's time we listen, really listen, to ourselves, to others, to the world around us. Because in the end, beneath all the noise, interruptions, and chaos, silence always speaks loudest. Trust me, the truth always shows up, eventually.